Welcome back everyone. So on this lesson now we're going to actually look at how to animate our catapult, and it's a fairly complex thing, but we're going to make it very simple and straightforward as we build our armature. So with that said, let's get started. And now we can grab the whole thing, and it's always good practice to first of all look where you want your catapult. So what I tend to do is I tend to grab it like this, right click, and what I'll do is I'll put set origin to geometry, and that's going to put it right bang in the center. And then what I'll do is I'll press Shift S and I'll put cursor to world origin. Then I'll press Shift S and selection to cursor offset. That's going to put it there, and then I'm just going to bring it up to where I want it. And now I'm just going to press Alt H, and I'm just making sure that where I want it is in the correct place. So let's just let this load like so. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click just on the catapult and I'm going to bring it up just to, well, I'm happy with where it's sitting. So I want it a little bit in the mud like this, not too much. I want it looking as though it's actually sat on something. So double tap A, and now I can see that it looks as though it's sat on the ground plane. So that's good. So let's now hide this. And now what we'll do is we'll start actually to bring in our bones. And it's important now, the first thing that we do is we press Ctrl A, rotation and scale, come down to where it says location and actually tick that on. And you'll notice it changes the origin to the bottom of the ground plane. Now this is important. First of all, it's important for bringing in your first bone, for instance, and because that will be the root bone. Now the root bone, all the other bones go to the root bone, and then what you can do is you can grab just the root bone and move this catapult wherever you want. That's important when you take it into a games engine, because if you're doing a walk cycle, or in this case a wheel turn cycle, the wheels turn and the whole thing will move along with the root bone. So very important that we actually set it there. Not only that, wherever you set the origin is basically where you, so let's say we bring this into Unreal. When I bring this in now, it's going to be flat against the surface of the Unreal terrain. Now if I set it in the middle of here, when I bring this in, half of this is going to be below the ground plane in Unreal. So it's important to set it right there, right at the bottom, and that's why we did that. Okay, so now we need to bring in our first bone. So let's press Shift A, and we're going to bring in Armature, and it's going to look something like that. Now press RY 90, and this I want to be fairly big so I can see it and manipulate it when I'm actually working. And what I'll also do is now I'll press Tab, I'll make sure I've got it grabbed, and I'll come over to this little bone button, and I'm going to name this root. So ROOT bone, like so. And then I'm going to name the armature as well. So let's call this catapult armature, like that. There we go. And I can also name it in here as well. So I'm going to come into here and just name it catapult armature. And now everything's named and I know exactly what I'm doing. And actually before we finish, we might as well come in and name this. So we can name this catapult main. And let's bring the other parts back and we'll rename those as well, just to make sure that we've got everything named. So let's scroll down. This is cylinder at the moment, and I don't actually see the problem in actually joining these two up. So Control J, let's join them up. I do see that maybe this needs a bit of smoothing off, so let's have a look at that. Let's go to this part first and click on Auto Smooth, and then bring it up a bit to smooth those edges off there. Okay, so we've joined that up and that's looking nice, and now we can come and rename this. So this is this part here, and we'll put this ground floor like so. And now let's see what these parts are. So if I grab this one for instance and I press G, I can see this is an empty, and you'll probably have some empties as well. So we just press delete and get rid of that. And now let's look at this one, and it's probably another empty. So this is basically the final tidy up here. So let's press delete, and then we should be left with a camera, or human, who we can actually also get rid of now. So let's click on him and let's delete him. And now we should be left with just the things we need. So this at the moment, the catapult armature is a separate object, and the reason for that is if I go in, and also I'm going to turn this around. I've decided that I want to take the image from this side, not this side. So I'll just grab the old thing, RZ 180, and just turn it around. Okay, let me hide that. So this is not attached yet to our catapult, which means it's its own separate object. We're going to actually put the bones in, and then we'll actually start work on weighting everything. So our first bone is in place. What we'll do now is we need to look where we want these other bones. So for instance, the wheels turning. I want obviously the bone for these wheels turning to be bang in the center of here. So what I'll do is I'll click on my main part of our catapult, press the tab button, and I'm going to grab this, press Shift S, cursor to selected, that's going to put it bang in there, and now press tab, Shift A, and we're going to bring in another armature, and I'm going to turn this around as well, so R, X and 90, and I'm going to put that there. And I'm not going to move this out at the moment, but I am going to name this bone. So let's come up and we'll name this bone front wheel bone, like so. And now we'll come to the back of it, so click on it again, grab the whole of the back, Shift S, cursor to selected, tab, Shift A, armature, and let's rename this rear wheel bone. And we'll actually turn this around, so RX 90. So now we've got two bones in the two places that we want for the wheel. So now I'll just click on my catapult and I'll just grab these two bones and I'm just going to bring them out, Alt H, bring the everything back, and then we'll just rehide that. And now I can put these into place. And basically I always work with my bones at the side. It makes it easier for me to see what I'm doing and visualize things. So that's how I actually work. So now let's work on our next part, which will be this handle. Now the handles aren't going to turn in opposite ways or anything like that. They're both going to be turning together. So that's rather straightforward. So let's grab this and we'll come in and we'll grab this part here. Not this part here, sorry. This part here should be the cylinder that goes all the way through. So now we can press Shift S, cursor to selected, press tab button, Shift A, and now we'll bring in an armature again. And this time we'll rename this bone rope turner, like so. And now I will RX 90, and I'll bring that out. And I just want it put in there. I think I'll make this one a little bit smaller. You're free to make them smaller and larger, just so you can visually see them. Okay, so next one we need to do. We're definitely going to need a bone on this part here. So let's do this now, and this we'll call it ballistics bone. So let's Shift S, cursor to selected, tab, Shift A, armature, and we'll call this ballistic bone, and that'll be there. And then we can make this one much bigger. And I also kind of want to rotate this possibly as well, so I am going to actually rotate it, so RX 90, and that's that bone there. Okay, so let's do this part here now. So this is this part. Obviously you can see that this is going to turn the whole thing up and down and things like that, and it needs to turn from this point here. So now let's come in, grab this part here, press Shift S, cursor to selected, tab, Shift A, armature. Now I'm going to call this strut bone. It's up to you what you call your bones, of course. This is just a reference for me. And then I'm going to turn it around, so RX 90, move it over to where I want it. I think I want it round about there. I'll make it a little bit bigger as well, this bone. Okay, so that's those bones. And what you're looking for is actually where you're going to put bones, and actually just work your way through and make sure you've got all your bones on. So the next bone I want to do is a bone to make these move, to make it realistic basically. So let's go and put this bone in now. So I want these bones to be on here. So if I grab this that means it's going to be in the center of here. So when I want to pivot this, I don't want this part here to move, obviously that's stuck in the metal, but I do want these chain links to move. So I'll press Shift S, cursor to selected, and then press Tab, Shift A, and we're going to bring in another armature. Now when I'm renaming this, I always like to work from the front of what I'm doing, just so I understand where it is. If I find if you work from the side or the rear, it makes it confusing. So when I'm looking at the front, I can see this bone's on the left, so I'll call this left light bone, like so. And I also want one in place here as well. Now this bone now will move from this point, so we need to leave that there. You can make it a bit smaller if you want, but I think I'm actually happy with how that is there right now. So I'll come in now again, and I'm going to put another bone in. So I'm going to grab this, Shift S, cursor to selected, Tab, Shift A, armature, and let's call this right light bone. And I'm going to leave that as well the same size. So we can see now that when we join these up, the bones hopefully will stay as the same name that we've named them. So now we've got this turning. We need this obviously turning, this weight here. So let's come in again, grab this one, Shift S, cursor to selected, Tab, Shift A, and we'll bring in another armature. There it is. And we'll call this one weight bone. And then I will actually turn this one, so RX 90, and I'm going to pull this out to there. I might make this one a little bit smaller, and that's going to make that easy to work with. And now we just have we have our lever here, so let's do the lever. So let's take a look at the lever actually, so we can see that's going to be moving backwards and forwards. So I think my bone on this lever at least is going to be based around this bottom part. So I'm just going to try and see if I can grab the bottom, so just to make sure that I've got everything. So like here you can see that I need to grab this, so I'll grab this one here, and then I also want to grab the other side, which is now done. But I can see that I do have a problem here because I've pressed Alt Shift. It's meant it's grabbed it all. I don't particularly want that because that might not actually work. So I'm just going to go in and just re-grab them. So I'm being careful just to grab the top ring going round, and then I'm going to press Shift S, cursor to selected, Tab, Shift A, and I'm going to bring in a armature. And this is going to be the lever bone, so I'm going to make this much smaller, like so. And let's call it lever bone, like that. And also I probably, let's rotate this just a little bit, so RY. So I'm just going to rotate it to the same as what it is on the actual lever, like so. I find that with levers and things just makes it easier for me to actually work with. Now we've also got this this cog here, so let's click on this again and select the whole of the cog, Shift S, cursor to selected, Tab, Shift A, armature, and we'll call this cog bone. And with this I'm going to actually turn it round, so RX 90. And there you can see now it's bang in the middle of it, exactly what we wanted. And I'm just going to leave it like that for now. I can see the bone is there. Okay, so I think, let's have a look. I think there's just 2 more bones to add to finish this. So we'll add them on these ropes here. So let's come in, and what I want them to start, I want them to start obviously at the bottom of these ropes. And I also want them to face the round about the same direction, so that when I come to squish them, they're actually going to squish in the right manner. So let's first of all hide just these parts here, so I can actually work here. So hide, and I'll also hide, oops, not that part, that's the part I want. These parts here, just so I can get to the bottom of these. So now I can come underneath and grab all this here with Alt Shift and click, Shift S, cursor to selected, Tab, Shift A, and we'll bring in the armature, tab, click back on the catapult, tab again, and now we'll do the same on this, and then we'll move them round. So Shift S, cursor to selected, tab, Shift A, armature. And what I need to do now is I'm going to manipulate these in a way that lines up with these. So we'll do this one first. So R, Y, and let's line it up. This needs to be rough, doesn't need to be exact. You just want them pulling though from the right place. So I'm going to go around to this side now, which is 3. And now I'm going to turn it also on the x-axis just to line it up a little bit. And I can see where the ball is, how it's actually lining up. And that looks fine for that one. And now I will do this one. So let's manipulate it on the x-axis. And now let's come to the other side. So Control 1, and now we can see what we're doing. So RY, and let's have it in place roughly. Now it said again, so if you come to the front, you can see that this one is going to be left rope bone, and this one's going to be right rope bone. Okay, just like that. Now the last thing we need to do to finish this lesson is we need to join all these bones together. So grab all your bones, don't make sure that you don't miss any. So let's grab all these, and I've got a lever bone there as well, and then my root bone, I'll grab that last. Control A, rotation and scale and location, and now press Control J, and they're all joined up. Now if you don't reset your location and rotation, we'll end up with the bones all turn on their own just to match the rotation of this one. So you don't want that, so just make sure that you do it in that way. So now you're going to come up to is edit mode. So let's go into edit, and let's grab all these bones. So just click on all these bones like so. Just make sure you get them all, try not to miss any. Now it's important that we click on this bone last, because this is the one that we're connecting these two. So now if I shift click on this bone just a couple of times just to make sure it's selected, press Control P, and you're going to make parent keep offset. So that is Control P, make parent keep offset. And now you'll notice that all these lines going down to this bone here. And if I go to pose mode now, and you should check this, grab the root bone, and when you move it, all the other bones should follow along. That's exactly what you want. So let's now reset that there, and now we'll go back to object mode, and we should be ready now to animate our catapult. And you'll notice that when we're not in pose mode, so if I put it back on pose mode, you'll notice that all these lines are here. If you come up to here and you click this relationship lines off, you can actually take them off if you don't actually want to see the relationship lines. We don't need to see them, so I'm just going to take mine off. So that's it for this lesson. On the next lesson, we'll start weighting all these parts up to the parts that we need and the bones that we need. And I hope you enjoyed that one, and I'll see you on the next one, everyone. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.